David, your coach here, and today I'm super excited because we have our guest John with us.
Hi guys, how you doing today?
And I just want to say that we're going to be talking about hustling and increasing our earnings so that we can achieve FIRE much faster. And there's no one that I feel is more qualified for this than John. He actually started his own business, and believe it or not, he was selling hair. And we're gonna just ask him about how he got there and what he did to achieve this success that he's had in his life through business.
Thank you for having me. Actually, I would just refer myself as a beginner. I'm not a great businessman yet, but I'm definitely growing. So yeah, I would gladly be answering to your questions.
All right, well, we can go ahead and get started then. First, I want you to just kind of describe yourself to our viewers. Use 3 words, and what kind of things describe you?
I would definitely describe myself like impatient person.
Impatient.
I'm impatient. I just want things to be like yesterday.
Yeah,
yesterday.
It's
like
already
done.
done.
So, and I'm definitely a hardworking guy. If I have to choose between 4 hours sleep or 4 hour work, I will definitely choose 4 hour work. Yeah, because actually it may sound very, very weird, but money is something that drives me nuts. Let's say. Yeah. I mean,
Makes you crazy, right?
Makes you crazy. It's not about like earning. It's all about doing something that you will be feeling great about. Mm-hmm. So it's not about the money. It's not about the numbers. I feel like I'm self-satisfaction. Let's say.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that I did it, and that feels good. That's what I'm driven with.
Got it. Excellent. And great. So, how did you know that you wanted to be your own boss, that you wanted to start your own business? And then once you realized that that's what you wanted to do, how did you get started? And what kind of things really pushed you forward, I guess?
Well, I think I have to go back to 2016 when I first got in my country, in Uzbekistan. I got employed in a sales and marketing team, where I quickly become the head of the sales and marketing team after 6 months only. And my life was not the best, but it wasn't bad at all. It was good. My family could afford lots of things, even though we couldn't afford a car, but we had our apartment.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, my life was good. But the only problem I didn't have a freedom. I could see how my boss would happen to be in Israel or in the US or in Russia next day, and I would only know about it once he arrived to those countries.
Right.
He was the boss, and he wasn't. He didn't have to tell anybody where he has to go,
what he was doing.
Right? Yeah. And I was like, whoa, how good is it? Like, you shouldn't tell anybody about your actions in advance. While if I want to go to doctor or check my eyes or ears, I will have to report that to my boss, and then only if he approves that, I would be able to go somewhere for 1 or 2 hours.
Right.
So that sounds so great for me to be able to travel anywhere, no matter the cost of the ticket, no matter what kind of visa you should apply and how long it will take and how much you will have to pay the visa, even if you're not getting approved in that embassy, but you still can afford that money. You still can, I mean, if you own some sort of money, the chances that you will get approved will be very high.
Right.
So he had some kind of privilege which I didn't have, and it was because he had that business. He used to work for himself. So that's why I decided I have to work for myself. I have to make myself rich instead of making someone rich.
Someone else. Yeah, I mean, I see you touching on 2 different points there. I see you touching on the financial aspect, which is that like the boss has a lot of money, so money can buy you the ability to travel. We're talking like tickets and hotel stays, and even when it comes to visas and influence that you might have in visiting the countries. But also you're talking about the power of freedom of not having to report to somebody. You
Right.
are your own boss,
Right.
and if anything, people are reporting to you, right? I mean, you're not reporting to anybody.
That's right.
So
It feels great. It feels amazing. I mean, I have to say that again. The numbers. I mean, it's good to have those numbers, but they don't give you this comfort. I mean, this kind of comfort or self confidence or some not financial privileges that you can get if you are rich, if you have money. Yeah.
Right, so the satisfaction is actually in the fact that you did it for yourself.
That's
Not
right.
so much in the amount, but this money was made by you, for you,
That's
from
right.
you.
I can bring you an example. I was in the US from 2015 to 2016, almost a year. I used to work in a bike shop and they used to pay me really well. This job was extremely difficult. I used to, when I just came in there, I used to get only $13 per hour and then it escalated quickly to 17. I used to work 14 hours every day, 7 days a week. And I used to get days off occasionally when I was extremely exhausted. So the money that I used to get to my bank account, it was enormous. I used to make like $5,000 per month saving only. So, but it didn't make me happy at all. The numbers don't make you happy.
Right.
You just spending all your time working there and you don't have time to spend that money. So what I used to do, I used to spend just a little amount of money in Amazon to buy some kind of watches or shoes or some kind of happiness for myself. But I wasn't truly happy because, I mean, even though I had that money, I didn't feel the benefits yet at that moment.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. Great. How do you deal with self-doubt and maybe some doubts from others, especially when you're getting started? And then what kind of motivated you to keep going? I can kind of relate to this one because I've had a lot of business ideas floating around in my brain. You can even ask my wife. I've often shared with her my ideas. Sometimes she laughs at me, other times she's like, "Yeah, that's not so bad." But we never really take that jump because there's always that self-doubt. Like, if I throw myself into this, there's a good chance that it doesn't work out, and then, where am I now? Yeah, I don't have a job. I gave up everything to pursue this self-employment, to pursue this entrepreneurship, and it didn't work out. So
Right.
how do you handle that self-doubt, and how do you really push through it?
Well, as I said before, I'm not a big investor yet, but I'm definitely growing. So all my projects, they started really small. So even if I needed to invest somewhere, it would take no more than $5,000. So it would take initially like $200 as a sample, and then it would quickly grow to 5,000, and then 15, and etc. So again, if you have, I mean, those numbers, as I said before, may not bring you a lot of happiness, but if you have those numbers, it can help you to be confident in your next move, because you know that even if you're losing a certain amount of money, you are not completely broke yet.
Right.
So those numbers are important to further escalate your profits. So before I also used to have my father doubting me a lot, but I don't know why I grew in a condition where I used to be the best. I used to be the best in my classroom before. I used to be the best among my peers and among my brothers, even if I'm the youngest one. So I never had this kind of confidence issue in my life. I always had, I don't know why, but I always was confident about myself. Wherever I go, I know I will get a job. Wherever I go, I know wherever I will get employed, I know I will be the best and I will get raised. I had this kind of confidence, and believe it or not, I always got it. I always had it. My first raise in the US was after 1 week, because I was just came out the US from Uzbekistan army, went to the US, and I was in a great shape, in a physically tough job. I used to run a lot, lift a lot. So I used to work almost for 2 people, and my boss liked my work ethic, and then he paid me $2 more per hour. So after 3 months, I got my second raise, because I used to work for 2 people, and I don't know, I had this confidence from the very beginning, and I just even if people doubted me, I just didn't pay attention.
Nice. I think we could definitely add the word driven to words that describe you. It sounds like you're a very driven person.
Yeah, driven towards the payments.
Driven towards everything. It's like when you set your mind to something, you're just like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna conquer this, I'm gonna crush it.
100%.
So you're just, nothing's in your way. Nothing can derail you from achieving that goal that you set for yourself.
Again, I mean, we were talking with you about how different I am compared to my wife before this recording. So, as we communicate a lot now with my wife, the way we are different is she puts obstacles. If she wants to go somewhere, you know what, I would go there, but I mean, this is the problem. How am I gonna overcome this problem? And I was like, hey, you just don't have to put the obstacle. You just go. And the way it happens. If you face some obstacles, you just take care of it at that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Cross that bridge when we get there.
If you say that that's the problem I have, and the other problem I have, that means that you're not going to do the first step. But if you're going to do the first step, and it's going to be difficult to walk way back. So you will just try to overcome things. The problems that seems to you enormous, in fact, when you reach them, gonna seem you not that big.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a gem of an idea. Is that a lot of times especially when I'm thinking about a business plan or something I might be thinking of, it's like I'm thinking of what's the problem when I get to here, when really all I have to do is start.
You don't know where to go, just do one step.
Right, yeah, so if you're ready to do something, if you have an idea, don't be afraid to take that first step, and when you get to a bigger issue or a bigger problem, you see where you're at that point and see if you're able to overcome it, or maybe you just take a different route at that time, but you never know until you take that step.
That's right, you just take one step and see what happens.
I like that. So our next one then was, what is your definition of success? And what are some important habits that you kind of pursue to be successful?
The second part of the question, I didn't get it.
Habits, things that you routinely do that help you be successful.
Definition of success. So I think it may sound boring, but I'll have to tell you that if you do something that your customers love, that's the easiest route for successful business. It's not my quote, it's Elon Musk's quote, and he says if you produce something that your customers, your business is customer oriented, there's a high chance that your business is going to succeed. And I agree with him, and I didn't know that until the moment I brought this plastic equipment for air conditioner. Because if you don't know, guys, I sell plastic equipment for air conditioner, which helps you not to get your body frozen if you're sitting under the air conditioner. A lot of people in my country, which is very hot, have this problem. They use a small building, small office for 7 employees, and one of them is definitely under the AC. Either he will get frozen, or the rest of the employees will feel hot if you turn off the air conditioner. Right. So this equipment that we found in China, you just install them and it blows all the air to the ceiling, and all employees will feel the same temperature equally. So that's a very simple equipment that we start selling, and a lot of people felt like they need this. And the amount of the demand was huge. It was huge, and people were happy. We have tons of positive reviews about this product in our social media, and that's what I understood. If you sell something that your customers are loving and appreciating you for selling this product, there's a high chance that your business will succeed.
Right. So you're catering to your customers.
That's right.
What do they want? What do they need?
Now,
what do they like?
I also forgot to mention, not only the product you are offering them, but the way you are offering them, the speed of your delivery, the person who installs them, and everything in a good way, in a way that customer doesn't have to do anything except paying you.
Right.
So if you can create this kind of atmosphere and people are enjoying your product, there's a really high chance that you can succeed.
Right, like Elon Musk has his self-driving cars. Maybe
That's
you
right.
buy them; they'll deliver themselves to your house.
Did you actually hear why did he create self-driving car?
I haven't.
Because one of his customers fell asleep and he accidentally crushed a pedestrian, I should say.
Okay.
Pedestrian
Hit
in
somebody
the
with
side
the car.
Yeah, hit somebody on the car, and then because he fell asleep, that's why Elon was like, hey, we have to create the system if the person falls asleep. So the car was smart enough
Stay on
to
the road.
stop or to stay on the road. So that's why how he came up with this idea.
It's incredible though, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
Amazing.
He had a major problem and he was like, hey, my car hit someone's wife or someone's child. I mean, I should make sure that it's not going to happen ever again. I love it.
Fantastic. Our next one then was, what do you find most satisfying about your journey so far as being an entrepreneur? What do you feel has made you the most happiness?
I feel like my wife is very supportive. It doesn't matter how great your mind is in terms of business or what kind of products you feel like will do good in your country. Your partner may have a different opinion, which doesn't need to be contradictory to yours, but he or she may have different look to that point, and it can support or stop you to invest a lot in this business. I'll bring an example. My wife, during the pandemic, she said, we have to bring this equipment for blood pressure equipment, with the equipment that measures your blood pressure. I mean,
right.
Yeah, and then I was like, I didn't pay attention at that time, but and she was like, hey, this thing gonna shoot, so we should import that in our country and start selling it. I didn't pay attention at all, but it turned out when pandemic hit in our country, those products were in a huge demand, and we didn't have those. So if I listened to her, at least if I paid attention, took into consideration her opinion, maybe I would be on a different level right now, because those things used to be extremely cheap here.
Right.
And then when the pandemic hit in many other countries, those things have become in huge demand, and
The price.
the price went up. The biggest markets like Europe and North American countries started importing in huge amounts, and at that moment, just my country people couldn't afford those products, or you could just buy the cheap version of it, which wasn't that good.
Right. It's not as accurate with medical equipment.
So,
you always want it to be.
Also the way that we run some other projects right now, she may bring something up that my mind didn't think about it at all. And it doesn't need to be contradictory to my opinion. It can be supportive, but in a different way. So that, I want to say that two minds are better than one.
Right, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a great perspective. I didn't think about that, but always having a second set of eyes, looking over your ideas and checking things out can be beneficial. Even if it does contradict, I think there is a benefit to having someone question you, because it could get you to think about an alternative. And if it's not your spouse, maybe it's not somebody else, maybe a family member.
In some cases, your ego may think that this business is gonna go good, this product gonna shoot really well, and your ego doesn't let you to think like, hey, what if it doesn't? What about those other problems? Sometimes it happens.
Right.
And at that moment, you need someone who can tell you the truth and just stop
Bring you back down to earth.
Yeah, silly mistakes. And then also, what else I wanted to say? Yeah, it seems like that's it.
And how about any mistakes or anything that you wish you could have changed about the road you've taken to get here?
It may sound a little bit unorthodox, but I'm going to say it. Borrowing, not money, but I mean giving to your customers your product and hoping that they will pay back. It never happens. In my case, it never happened. I'm speaking about hair extensions. So there were some cases when a woman from Ireland told me, hey, I have 4 kids and I just lost my salon and I want to start over. I'm a hairdresser and I want to do this with you, but I mean, I need someone who can support me and I need some hair extensions. I was like, I was new at that hair business at that moment, and I was like, I'm new and she's new. I mean, we can grow together. Why not me? Why shouldn't I take the first step and help her, hoping that one day she will become bigger? I was so naive. And I sent her 800 grams of hair extension, which is not a lot. People sell 20 kilograms. I only sold, like, not sold, just sent her for free 800 grams with keratin tip, ready hair extensions, double drawn hair extension, which is extremely expensive. I'm comparing to single drawn hair. And I paid for the shipping too, and I paid for everything. And it was around $1,200. And then one of my Israeli customers told me the best way to lose your customer is to give them product hoping that they will pay back. They will never pay back. Capitalism will never let you to pay back for the products that you already sold and used it for your own purposes.
Right.
The time is going so fast, you just can't keep up with all expenses, and the priority paying you back goes
so low.
Very low.
Yeah.
And you just will lose the customer. That's it. The best way to lose your customer, to give your product without money and hoping that they will pay back. Mm-hmm. And it happened in many cases. In Australia, I used to have a hairdresser, a very famous one, and I sent him 3 kilograms of hair because he was my old customer, and he only paid back for 2.5, and then the 500 left. It's not big money, but it's still money. So if you just calculate those 800 and 500, 300 in some other places and combine them all together, you're gonna get like 2,000, 2.5. Yeah, which may not be big for some people, but for me as a beginner, it was a lot of money.
Right.
So yeah, and from that moment on, I just never ever give someone without prepayment.
Mm.
Money first, and then we're gonna speak.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a great thing.
It's better not to trade with those people. If they are not willing to pay you in advance, just don't trade those people. I mean, if they don't have enough money to invest in you, it's better not to work with them.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like if they already have this kind of money issue,
Yeah.
you don't want to get involved.
Right.
How about, I know you already kind of mentioned a little bit your social media, but I had a question on here about how important is social media and kind of technology for businesses these days, especially when you're dealing with small businesses and startups. Because I know it's hard to compete on a global level or even the big market level when it comes to advertising or putting things on TV. But social media has really helped out small businesses, in my opinion. I wanted to get your perspective on that.
In my case, it really depends in which market you are trading. For example, I used to sell hair extensions to other countries than my country, like in Australia, Europe, and Great Britain, and etc. So in those places, your social media do not, I mean, I may be wrong, because investors who want to buy hair extensions from you, they usually check your social media presence. If you're present in social media, if you have a lot of followers, and then if you have posts, you have constant updates about your production and colors and hair extensions and everything. If you have those, then that means you are someone. But if you don't have that, that means no one knows you. I mean, the amount of, and if you have very little social social network presence, that means that you're not big enough, and you can always take their money and quit this business. And it happened a lot, and it happens a lot to this day. And so that's why I feel it's kind of important to have this social presence, but it's not the most important thing in my opinion, just because I know some companies who have the biggest social platforms, but but they still do this. They still cheat. They still send something that the customer didn't order, and I know those personally too.
Right.
Yeah, and then it doesn't, and you can't leave some negative comments about them in that platform. In Instagram, you can't leave negative comment because they will just delete it. Yeah. So in platforms like Suppliers Blacklist or some other platforms, you can do that, or Trustpilot, you can do that too. And those platforms are significant to have. But coming to the retail sales, in my country, which I'm dealing with right now, social media is important. You can just do target ads.
Mm.
You just do targeting, and then you just sell retail products, and it has been working great for me. In my country, we use Telegram, and coming back to those products for ACs, I sold like 3,000 of them last year, and it's all through Telegram.
All through Telegram.
Yeah.
Telegram is a application. Okay.
Yeah, it's like WhatsApp
Okay, like WhatsApp.
in post-Soviet Union countries.
Okay.
Yeah, and then lots of influencers in this platform, and you just pay for the advertisement, and they make a post, and people who are interested, they get back to you and order from you.
Okay. So can you see what kind of influencers are giving you the best bang for your buck? Like you're paying them to talk about your product?
No, they're not gonna. I mean, if you pay enough, they're gonna talk about your product, but you're just gonna pay for the post.
They're putting it at the bottom,
and they say, what does this product do if you buy it?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you pay them twice of their price, they can actually make a video content. But
You guys hear that? Video content, if you need it. Got a guy.
So actually, and then there's a lot of fraud in this sphere too, in Telegram advertising. Because my budget was only $5,500 for 3,000 deflectors. That's
right.
what they call deflectors. And then I just started testing I mean, 5.5 is a lot of money for my country. So I started testing a lot of platforms, and it turns out that they have fake followers, but they still keep posting news in their channel, and you see like they have 300,000 people following them, and you make a post, and no one gets back to you.
Right.
And then you understand that those are fake people. I mean, at least 1% should get back to you, right?
Right.
But they don't.
At least someone to ask a question,
Right.
or something.
They don't. It happens a lot, and then you wonder why these influencers, they always have their spot ready for you. I mean, if you want to take advertisement in other serious platforms, they're gonna say, hey, we have Monday already reserved, but you can post on Thursday. Thursday is not reserved. So the fraud ones, they always say like, hey, whenever you want, we have this one ready for you.
Got it.
Just pay it.
It's interesting. I've never been down that road, so I didn't know how that worked. But that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, they pay some. I don't know how they do it, but they get so many followers, fake followers,
Right.
Boat followers. That's not real, and they charge you for the advertisement, which is not real too.
Right. Yeah, I've known that they've done that because there's other platforms like Twitter and I think even YouTube has some. But people will sell their accounts, so they'll get up with like a certain amount of followers, and then they'll say, "Hey, I'm going to give you the password and the username, and you give me the money, and you can have this account."
Right.
And you you log in, and you have 300,000 followers, and you've done nothing. You don't know who those people are,
Right.
or why they're following you and stuff.
Right, and it happens in the gaming industry too.
Yeah.
That's what people call surfers.
Surfing.
They get the new account and they boost it to the level which they can sell it for more money to someone else who don't want to boost their account. They just want to play with pro gamers, and they just want to buy it instead of feeling this difficulty playing with someone who can play, and it will just drag you down more and more, and it's hard for you to get higher and higher to play with better players.
Right.
So it's better to pay someone who did all the job.
And they'll let you just start at the highest level.
Right.
Excellent. And then obviously getting to where you are takes a lot of work and a huge amount of time. So explain to me how you kind of handle with the stress of that. It seems like you've had some stressful jobs. And then also there's the term burnout, and that phase is kind of stuck with our generation really. And it's like this idea that we've worked so hard that we're just, you're ready, you're gonna be done. In China, they often refer to that as laying flat. I don't know if you heard, but
Never heard of it, but yeah, I mean, I never heard of about being flat in China, but I definitely know what is being burnout and stress. The last burnout that I had was in 2019 when I still used to work for the sales and marketing department, and I got burned out because in my country having a vacation is not a famous concept. So believe it or not, maybe some top companies they do have it, but in my country we don't, because the first reason it's not paid, and that's why people choose not to get vacations, because nobody wants not to get paid. So, and the job was, at that moment I was already going my hair extension thing going on, and I used to come to job just for stability. I used to have that hustle on the side, but I wasn't as much concentrated on my main job because that job was really interesting for me. So I used to come to the job because of the stability, because even if I didn't like it. So that's the moment when I got my first burnout. So the point of view is, I got my burnout because I used to do the job which I didn't like. I hated, but it was giving me stability. I'm teaching English right now in China. I rarely get burnout because I love teaching. I love those kids. I'm just friends with them, and I love the reaction they give to me, and that's why I do not get burnout as often as I would back home. So the point of view, if you do the job that you really hate, not even don't like, but hate, that means that you're gonna get burnout a lot faster.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're working on your own project, I don't think that it's gonna give you burnout anytime, not as quick as the other ones, because you are working for yourself and you understand and every step of this project you are doing gonna give you a different kind of emotions. Your emotion gonna go up and down, whether it is a bad emotion or good emotion, it's still gonna give you an emotion. So it doesn't gonna give you specific damage.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I was gonna touch on that because I also do some side hustles as well. I haven't done any of my own businesses yet, but I work independently outside of my day job. And one thing I've noticed is when I get really busy, especially in the wintertime, because all the people travel to Sanya in the winter, is that I never feel burnt out or even stressed. Actually, I feel even better about it.
Me too.
Because I know the harder I work, all of that extra work, all that extra money, that's for me.
That's right. Just for yourself.
Just for yourself. And at your job, when you work harder, you're making somebody else rich. You barely anything's gonna go into your pocket. If you're lucky, you might get a raise. But it's like the majority of that hard work is going to someone else. But when you're working for yourself and doing the side hustle, it's like that's your money. So
that's right.
I never felt that burnout either. But it's a good point. Is working, as you said, what was it, 10-hour days for 7 days a week? It can add up.
Yeah.
Take a toll.
No problem. Yeah, I mean, look, if you are, on your main job, let's say you are earning X amount of money, and on your side job, if you earn that X amount of money, you're gonna feel 100 times happier. It's the same amount of money. Imagine you never had this money. All you're having is this amount of money, the X amount of money. The same amount, but this job gonna make you so much happier just because you are on your own making this. This is gonna give you a different emotion.
100% agree.
So burnout is a mental condition, isn't it?
Right.
It's not physical. You're not physically exhausted. You woke up, you ate your breakfast, you're full of energy, you can go to the gym and work out if you want to. It's not mental, it's not physical, it's mental. So this job is killing your mentality, not your physicality. So if you do your own hustle, it's not gonna keep you this kind of
I
pressure.
couldn't agree more because I think about like when I feel tired in my day, and I feel most tired after I wake up and I know I gotta go to work for my day job.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how could I possibly feel tired? I've just slept for 8 hours. Like, it doesn't make sense. But you get home and you're like, okay, I've worked for 6 hours now, and I'm like, I got more work to do. But somehow I'm feeling amped up and ready to go, and I'm like, all right, now it's time to make my money.
That's right.
So,
Do you remember in your childhood when your parents were like, hey, we're gonna go to the park or we're gonna go to Disney or something?
Mhm.
And you were like, whoa, and they say like up in front the day before it, and then when you wake up, you know what is expecting you today, and you're like excited, you wake up and you brush your teeth and put your t-shirt and rush to the car, and because you know what is coming to you.
Right.
So when you wake up in the morning, you just slept 8 hours, it doesn't matter because you know what is coming to you. So that's why you were like, oh man, I just slept 8 hours, but I'm tired. I don't want to go to work just because you know what is coming to you.
So it's all in the mental, mental game. Excellent. And then, if you had one more chance to give a few more words of advice to our listeners, which is something you would say to someone who wants to go out and start their own business or try their own hand at a job or something, what would you recommend?
Lots of people say like, quit what you're doing. I would say it is very difficult to do in case if you have a family, you need your bills to pay, and it's hard to do. I wouldn't say like quit what you're doing unless you have a clear plan what you want to do next. So I would say you just always look for something else. While you are doing your own job, you have to pressure yourself to do something extra. This is how you do it. This is the only way how you go from stable income to not stable, however, the money that you can earn by yourself independently. This is the only way you can do it. While you're doing your 40 hours per week, you should do something extra. But you should do it every day, like 2-3 hours, every single day, no days off. I personally believe that days off gonna make you weaker because I personally work 7 days a week, so I don't have a day off. I think that you don't need a day off at this stage. You should work as much as you can and dedicate yourself more in your own project as much as you can. And so while you're working in a stable job, which is giving you a stable income, you should always look for other stuff. And one day you will just shift from one place to another gradually. In case if you're afraid of instability, this is the only way you can do it. I'm afraid of instability. I'm afraid of poverty. So this is the way how I do it. I go from stability to my own thing, safely. While I have my child, while I have my wife, whom I have to support, that's the way I think I can do it.
Excellent. Well, those are just amazing words of advice. I want to thank you guys, our listeners, for tuning in with us. Don't forget about John here. He did a great job. I'm glad that he was able to join us. And make sure you click the like and subscribe button. If you don't want to do it for me, do it for him.
Thank you guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Subscribe, share, and like.